Hey everyone, meteorologist Aaron Tuttle here with you. It is time for the Facebook Live to get your weather forecast and the details behind the dirty science that is providing us this beautiful ice storm coming into the state. Now, it won't be so nice for others. Some of you won't even know that there was ice in the state, and some of you may think it wasn't even a big deal, and others may wish it never come. So it just depends on where you live, because we're going to get kind of a mixture of everything here over Oklahoma. I want to also remind you to please share this video as you watch it. Just hit the share button while you're hitting like and happy face and frowny face and everything else you can throw at me as we talk about the weather tonight. And to remind you that you can always go back and rewatch this anytime on my Facebook wall and get up to date in case you missed something. Forecast scrolls across the top. This weather presentation is brought to you by Road Angel. It is embedded inside my free weather app, AT's Weather to Go. So if you find yourself into some car trouble on the side of the road, press that little button and help us just a few moments away. Well, let's get down to business and talk about the weather, and we'll bring you up to date on what the latest computer model data says and address the bulk of your questions. Honestly, if I had time all day to answer everyone's questions, hey, what's it going to do at my house? I would. But do you realize how many hundreds of thousands of houses there are out there? It's just impossible on time constraints. So we'll show you about a bunch of maps and let you kind of dive into your area and then kind of give you an idea of what you're going to see. And we'll keep it a little bit generic because you get too specific, this will take forever. And you already know I'm long-winded, so let's try to keep this thing somewhat short. I am also sporting the Dallas Cowboys because, yes, we're Super Bowl bound, baby. And I think you might like this better than my Aggie shirt, which I got some flack over the other day. So without further ado, let's get on to business here, shall we? And you know what I like to do. I like to show you some maps. So first thing I want to show you is this is the satellite viewpoint here, which shows the upper level storm system out here, which is basically centered, just off the coastline here, just to the west of LA. And this particular upper level low, the energy rotating around behind it and kicking out this direction, is actually streaming all this Pacific moisture right here over Oklahoma. And also, of course, over the ski resorts too. Those guys are getting dumped on. I mean, they even had a couple of ski resorts closed because too much snow out in California and Nevada. So this has been a great storm system to have out here. It's slow moving, very strong, and very large. Now for us, well, yeah, we've got that moisture streaming in, and we also have some cold air from the north coming on in. Before we show you that, let's show you what the watches and warnings are in effect. So if you've kind of been not paying attention too much to the weather today, there was a issuance from the National Weather Service of both a winter storm watch, which was then replaced today with a freezing rain advisory over this little light pink area. That includes Tulsa, Oklahoma City, pretty much the I-44 corridor on down toward Lawton, and then just the counties north of there from Stillwater, Guthrie, Kingfisher. It's an ice storm warning. That just means the difference between accumulations going from light to, in some cases, moderate or heavy. And so that is a difference that you all need to know as far as the ice is concerned. If you look up north for traveling across let's say the majority of Kansas, you got trouble, and even into the majority of Missouri, you're going to have ice in all these areas, and then a winter storm watch north of there for lighter amounts and or some uncertainty built in from the National Weather Service. So that is a look here across the plains as to what is happening with the warnings and advisories out there. And you can see there's a lot more out here across the west, of course, with all that snow in the mountains. So now let's show you what it looks like when we add on the let's turn this off here. Okay, this is what it looks like when we add on the pressures from the region of high pressure that we're talking about. And I'm going to plot some numbers on here too, so you can see what the temperatures look like as well. And that'll kind of give you an idea of how cold things are up to the north and what that is going to be doing for us. And the big deal for us is we're going to be cooling on down quite a bit, and I think you're going to get maybe a little bit of a rude awakening, you could call it that, but it's going to be cold for you. We've got readings here into southern Canada into the -20s up there. Let me zoom in here for you just a little bit so you can see that better. So minus teens and 20s. So this particular air mass is moving southward, right down the plains into Oklahoma. You can actually see these little blue lines, which is regions of equal pressure, continue to move south. That means the Arctic air is building in. Now you can also see the center of it, which is right here, slowly moving to the east-southeast. So the center of the high is going to kind of move in a southeastward fashion, then kind of start to curve back to the east some. But as it's doing so, it's going to build in these heights of pressure down here, and it's going to kind of continue to bring in drier air for us. So some very low dew point values and some very cold temperatures. So that's the Arctic air. So that's the second piece of the equation. You got the upper level storm system overriding this cold, shallow Arctic air, and we're going to continue to see temperatures drop here across Oklahoma. So speaking of Oklahoma, let's go ahead and go in here and we'll see what's happening. And the latest readings, 30s out there across I'd say 2/3 of the state, and so that's going to be dropping slowly as we head into the evening hours and overnight as more of that cold air filters on in. We are going to now talk about the computer model data and show you what you can expect. And this is going to give you an idea of where the freezing line is come tomorrow morning, because there's going to be a lot of questions. Is it going to be icy at my place? So this is my attempt to kind of answer a lot of you all at once, and we're going to look at this together. So this is the latest data, and at 6 o'clock Friday morning in Oklahoma City, we're 29 degrees. That's bad news for roadways with any precipitation that's already falling. You go east of there, it gets to about 32. Once you get out, let's see what towns it's going to be. Right, basically Prague, and then up toward Bixby, you're 33, but Tulsa, you're 32. So expect some ice in Tulsa in the morning for your morning drive. Norman, you're down at 30 degrees. You're going to have a little ice. Purcell, you're 32, but your dew point value is much lower. We'll show that here in a minute. So you're going to wet bulb down, so you're going to expect some ice. And that's going to go on down to Pauls Valley as well. Even though temperatures here show 35, you're going to fall a little bit as that precipitation occurs. So expect some very light glazing of ice down there as well. Same for Lawton at 31 degrees. Once you get out here in southeast Oklahoma, you're in the upper 30s. McAllister 37, 38. Stigl over here at 41. So no threat again for southeast Oklahoma. You're going to be fine. Now, if you remember last night, I showed you the dew point values, and that's important because these temperatures will drop down to the dew point as long as it's below freezing. So here's that 32 degree line just on the east side of Tulsa, all the way down just north of Ada, and I'd say about 10 miles north of Ardmore, and then back out here to the west-southwest. So anywhere in this blue line is where you have a chance to see some light freezing rain and slash drizzle in the morning. So pick your poison of where you live in the state. If you see blue on the map, you're going to have the risk of ice-covered roadways in the morning. And this is going to start about 3 o'clock in the morning is when a lot of this freezing drizzle will be reaching its way to the ground. So that's a large area of the state. I do expect travel problems. I do expect accidents. I do expect slow going. That's a quick look at temperatures in the morning and the dew point values. Let's go back to the temperatures for the afternoon, and let me show you that things don't necessarily improve either as the day wears on. Let's see if we got some new model data coming in, so it hasn't quite made it in yet. All right, we'll look at that, come back to that here in a minute, or I can switch. I'll just go to a different model and see if that one's in. With the timing that we're in now, a lot of this data continues to kind of come on in. This is one of the warmer readings. And it's got 31 degrees as a max temperature here in Oklahoma City by 6 o'clock. I think we'll actually top out closer to 30, and I think that'll be the highest, maybe 30 point something, but I think we'll sit around 30 degrees for the high in Oklahoma City. And in Tulsa, same thing. I think you're going to top out right about freezing. I think this model's a little warm for you. I still think you're going to only top out at 32 during the day for Tulsa in the evening hours. So you still have a threat of freezing rain off and on during the day and even into the evening before things improve in Tulsa. But Oklahoma City, I just expect ice off and on all day long. Okay, so let's go back to the shorter term model at 6 a.m. Actually, let's go back a little before then. This is going to be 1 o'clock in the morning. Okay, now the model is already producing precipitation, and you're going to see it change colors as to where it tries to incorporate the temperatures behind that cold front that causes the liquid to just basically freeze on contact or freezing rain. So this is 3 o'clock in the morning. So you can see, turn this on for you, as we kind of talked about with that cold front boundary, everywhere in here, this is all freezing rain and freezing drizzle. That's starting at 3 o'clock in the morning. So we go to 4 o'clock, it's still there. 5 o'clock, it's still there. It's in Tulsa, it's in Oklahoma City. 6 o'clock, it's still there. So that is why over a large area of the state, I think we're going to have some travel problems in the morning. And so it's going to be a very slippery commute that I don't think you're going to like. That's going to take shape and take place all day long. So freezing drizzle, sometimes light, sometimes moderate, and then a very light passing showers, which will be showers that freeze on contact, mostly light, but they will be scattered in nature off and on throughout the day. Now the combination of that, the freezing drizzle and the light passing showers, should help to keep total precipitation amounts lower. That's the plan. So I'll show you some estimates here in a minute about what you can expect for that. But so this, I think, is one I want to show you on this particular group of maps. So we've covered the fact where the freezing line is, the precipitation again. So really, if you've been following me for the last few days, nothing has changed. If you're new and you're just now joining in, your friends recommended, welcome aboard. This is kind of stuff that we do here. It's more technical in nature. I get to spend a lot more time with you to explain to you how things are going. Now, let's see. Let's go ahead and show you the big picture. Now, I want to show you how the precipitation starts out in Texas and moves northward overnight tonight into tomorrow. It just kind of comes in waves of kind of scattered popcorn type stuff, and that's a good thing to see. If it was a solid wave of just green and yellow all over the map, that's bad news. That means a lot of precipitation totals. This should help to keep things much lighter in the nature in which it's coming across. So I do want to show you that. Also wanted to show you the plume temperatures. We've been doing this all week. I'm sure you guys love this by now. For Friday, the median value in Oklahoma City is 25. Let's see, is that temperature? Yeah, 25 degrees in the morning, I believe. Let me double check. Excuse me, 27 degrees in the morning. As we head into lunchtime, it's 29 degrees. We top out at 30, which is why I think the forecast or the temperature here in Oklahoma City won't get any warmer than 30. And then we're right back down cooling as we head toward midnight, back into the 20s again. And Saturday morning, we're 29 degrees. Lunchtime Saturday, noon, we're just about 32 degrees. And then once we hit 1 or 2 o'clock, we're 33 degrees, maybe even 34, topping out in the afternoon. And that will help to start melting things. Any additional rain we get will just be regular rain at that point in time, and that will also help to melt things. Now the QPF, in other words, the quantitative I can't ever say that term right. The rain forecast, let me just shortchange it. The totals of it is going to be, let's see, according to this model anyway, through lunchtime Saturday for the metro, is about 3/10 of an inch of ice. That is still significant. It's just not catastrophic, and that's what you want to see. So 3/10, and I still think there's going to be some areas about half an inch. I think so. Roughly a quarter to half inch is what I'm calling for here in the metro as far as ice totals go through Saturday at lunchtime. And that kind of jives with most of the model output that I've been seeing. Here's a couple of models that we have access to that are still coming in, so we'll see if they finished. This is what they call the meteogram. Let's see here. Come on, play nice with me. Load up, internet. While that's doing that, let me see what else I got for you. Okay, we'll go to the ice totals from the high resolution NAM that just finished coming in through, what time was this? Saturday night, just a little after midnight. We'll zoom in here for you a little bit. Okay, now what I want you to focus on here is not so much the exact specific total for an area. For example, for Oklahoma City here, it says 0.18. Now, but if I move my cursor around, I've got 0.27, I've got 0.32, 0.39. Even up here in Tulsa, it says 0.35, but if I move it up around between there and Bartlesville, it says 0.67. That's over half an inch of ice. There's 0.75. Now, what you need to take home from this is this first wave of ice the models are indicating along that frontal boundary that there's going to be some heavy spots in here greater than a ½ inch of ice. So that is jive so far with the forecast for all week long. So I still think that's at play. Now, where exactly those spots happen, I cannot tell you that. No one can. All I can tell you, this is the general area in which they will occur. If you get some heavier stuff, guess what? You got some power outages to deal with. Not because of the wind so much, just because of the weight of the ice. The wind will only be around 10 to 15 miles per hour in most cases. Maybe a few gusts higher than that on occasion, but for the most part, the wind will behave with the system. Now, if you look out here in western Oklahoma, things have a tendency to get a lot heavier, especially out toward the Panhandle region, northwest. And let me look at some of the plots here. Now, keep in mind, this is only through Saturday midnight, so we're already at ½ an inch of ice. There's close to 7/10. Here's up around an inch in southwestern parts of Kansas. And then here's in northwest Oklahoma about 1 inch. So that kind of gives you an idea of more ice is going to be expected in the northwestern part of the state and western Oklahoma, stretching into Kansas, because they're going to be underneath the precipitation and the cold air much longer, and that is really the main reason why. And so that's why this area here is more catastrophic in nature, and there's going to be a lot more power outages as a result. Not necessarily again because of the wind, just because of the weight of the ice. Let's go back to this model that was finally loaded here. Let's see, are these? Yeah, there's a couple of new ones coming in. Again, looks like 1/4 to almost 4/10 of an inch of ice on some of these. So that still jives the forecast. The new model data is still trickling in as we speak. Here, okay, I want to show you this. This is the simulated radar, which we talked about this earlier and actually showed you a few hours of it. So as we go through the, let's go back to 6 o'clock in the morning. This right here, blue line, is the freezing line. So everything over here is just all rain. Everything in here, all the purple and everything you see on the screen is going to be all ice. So we go this into motion. You can kind of see the freezing line doesn't really move, and the ice continues off and on in nature throughout the day. On into Friday, we get in the afternoon, there's 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, right here. So you can still see the freezing line stretches from around just south of Norman, just right through Tulsa. So that's why I still think Tulsa is under the gun for some accumulating ice for tomorrow. That extends on back down just south of Lawton and Altus, so still some more ice in that area as well. We'll continue to go in through time a little bit more. Let's see, let's go through, there's midnight Friday night. We'll go into Saturday morning. Now here's the trend for Saturday. We do get kind of a moderate to heavy, at times, I guess you could call it, rounds of precipitation Friday night and early Saturday morning, but then things start to dry out, I think, pretty quickly. You can see a lot of precipitation has kind of evaporated here over central Oklahoma, and the I-44 corridor is now starting to shift to northwest Oklahoma. Also keep in line where this freezing line is. It is starting to creep to the west and north as we go into, there's late Saturday morning, and then once we get into lunchtime, it is hightailing it to the west. And then you can see all the freezing precipitation out here in western Oklahoma will continue. As we head on into Saturday late in the afternoon, still an ice storm ongoing out here. We'll go into, was it Sunday morning, still some leftover stuff, the far northwestern parts of the state, Panhandle, but other than that, temperatures already starting to warm either at or slightly above freezing. So Sunday itself is the day that the entire state recovers as far as warming temperatures, and you get a chance to thaw, melt some of that stuff, whatever's left, and we start to get some heavier rain that moves through during the mid to late afternoon and evening hours from west to east as the upper level storm system we showed you earlier finally comes across. So it'll be some significant rainfall out there. If you want to add in that, we're looking at another probably 1 to 2 inches of rain in most areas of the state, maybe a little bit higher amounts down across Red River or southeast Oklahoma. So some flooding is possible, even though we've been in a drought here for the last few months. So again, there's a big picture of the ice accumulating. Let me see if that's updated a little bit more. Yeah, we got a few more hours to add to that. So this will take us to Sunday early morning. Let's see if anything's changed here in western Oklahoma. Yeah, just getting closer to an inch in a few of these pixel queries, so 3/4 of an inch or more. And I still think an inch will be common out here. There might be a few spots just kind of like along I-44 I spoke of earlier. There may be a few little tiny areas where you can get more than an inch of ice, probably up to about an inch and a half, I think is the top of the range that we're going to see here. And if you're trying to travel Missouri or Kansas, just forget about it. Trying to head out west, forget about it. You want to head south? Once you get out of Oklahoma City, Pauls Valley, for the most part on Friday, things improve pretty quickly, especially by the time you get to Ardmore, but you still got to go through the ice to get there. Now, let me see if there's anything else I want to show you. I think that was it. Real quick here. I thought the Weather Service did a good job with their latest estimates for ice. I'll show you the ice estimate forecast here, and they're calling for about 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch here south of Oklahoma City, stretching down toward Lawton. Pink areas between 1/4 to 1/2 inch on the central north sides of town, up toward Tulsa, and then about 1/2 inch to 1 inch common from Woodward to Ponca City. But like I said, I think there's going to be some isolated spots in here greater than an inch. So I think that's a pretty good forecast to share with you. And as far as the impacts from ice, again, since wind is not a huge problem, it's just going to be the weight of the ice. So the power lines, tree damage in northwest Oklahoma. Some sporadic stuff here where the orange is and where you get the yellow for Oklahoma City proper. Yeah, I mean, especially if we get up to around 1/2 inch of ice, you're going to see a few power outages stretching up toward Tulsa or so. But more than likely, the main focus is going to be on just the travel conditions won't be so nice. And that's going to lead me to my final point here to show you. And so let's go. Did this come in? I'll tell you what. Let me see if this new data will come in if I go and get it. Go get you some. Let's see what the data looks like. Okay. Did you come in? You did. All right. Attaboy. Okay. Let's go to Oklahoma City. Overview. Okay. Now, I'm looking at a vertical slice of the atmosphere is what I'm looking at. And ice totals on this model is up around, like I said, 3,500, so close to 4/10 here for Oklahoma City. This is what I wanted to show you. And it's hard to see, I know, I get it. You're going to have to squint or go big on your computer or something. And let me change this over to 48 hours. That might help some. Tell you what, let's just go 24 because that's what I really want to talk about. Okay. Now, let's see here. Okay. Now, all this right here is deep moisture. The purple is basically saturated. It's up around 95% humidity, 100% kind of a deal. And that's between the surface up to around 8,000 feet. That's a lot of moisture. What's it going to do? Well, that is the moisture that's going to form the freezing drizzle. Now, it's going to, let's see, let me put the spotlight here. This part right here is midnight on tonight. Well, if I point or show you this little spot right here underneath, this is down toward the surface, the last 1,000 feet. It's pretty dry. Like there's very low humidity here. But once you go between midnight and over here, which is 6 a.m., that green and purple comes down to the surface, meaning it saturates the lower level. And that's why you kind of half-step it and you take the average between midnight and 6 a.m. and you say 3 a.m. is the time where the air at the lowest level is finally saturated. And that's where you start to get the freezing drizzle. If you get a little bit more lift or omega, then you start to see some light passing freezing showers. And guess what? We have that right here with this red contour that's shaping up, and that's right around rush hour here in Oklahoma City. So that kind of gives you an idea what the atmosphere looks like if you were to chop it in half and look upstairs to see where all the moisture is coming from. So I just want to show you that. I don't know if that helps. I don't know if that confuses you. I don't know what it's going to do for you. But for me, it's scientific, geeky stuff that we need to look at so I can tell you more details of what you really want to know. And that's that. Okay, so I will close that down. Yeah, I think that was all. Oh, we can go back to here, I think, because I wanted to show you temperatures for the afternoon if they are in yet. Okay, this is lunchtime on Friday. It just keeps the same freezing drizzle and everything going on. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. We kind of looked at this on another map earlier. This is just another one that kind of a more detailed to show you the roads and the towns and that kind of stuff to give you a better idea as to who's going to see it. Looks like 2 o'clock is the latest that model's got coming in. Okay, we'll see if what temperatures are doing at that point. Alright, we've got 30 degrees here in Oklahoma City, 30 and a half. Okay, so that still jives. So this is a short-term, high-resolution model that we'll be using for the most part because it's the best one we have, and even it won't get the Arctic air completely correct. It'll still be a little behind the curve, but it'll be the closest, or at least it should be, from the other models. Let me go back to here because I can show you the temperatures on here as well. Okay, let's go to Friday afternoon. So 3 kilometer NAM, and it's got a temperature maxing out of 30 to 31 here in Oklahoma City, 31 to 32 in Tulsa, and 32 in Lawton. So that gives you the idea for 6 o'clock on Friday where the freezing line is, and yes, that's through Norman. Norman's at 32. So again, everywhere along this and points north and west is all ice, and actually just a little bit to the south of this boundary is still ice, because you remember you still have the lower dew points, and you're still going to have some wet bulbing, which again basically is where the temperature and the dew point meet in the middle once precipitation starts and is heavy enough to make that happen. And since the Arctic air mass is very dry, you start with some low dew points, and we're talking teens or 20s, and so when that happens, there's plenty of wiggle room there for those numbers to meet and cause some ice. So that's what we have to deal with, and that's Friday 6 o'clock. As we go into time, let me go take you to Saturday morning, and we may have done this a little earlier, but I go through so many maps I can't remember which one I didn't show or didn't show. Alright, so here's Saturday morning. 31 in Tulsa, 32, same thing for Oklahoma City, 30 to 31. A little bit south from there, you can see where the blue line is. So if you live, again, just on the east side of Tulsa, down to just around the Ada area, back out through Paul's Valley and Lawton, through Saturday morning, you've got ice in your forecast. Now, I will go to lunchtime. Let's see, Saturday. So this is where things dramatically improve. So we're at 34 degrees in Tulsa, 33 degrees Oklahoma City, 34, where is that? That's, okay, 32 in Ponca City. Oh, Stillwater, 34 in Stillwater. So things rapidly improve as we transition from Saturday morning to around lunchtime on Saturday. And that point onward after that, smooth sailing, unless you live out in western Oklahoma. And as we talked about, that's where the ice will continue to accumulate. And here is a look at temperatures out there as well. So basically 32 degrees, 31, 31, this little patch of blue area. And then of course into Kansas and Missouri. It looks like in Missouri, southern parts of Missouri, you're out of the woods. Far southern Missouri, you're in the upper 30s. Once you get back to central Missouri, though, you're back into the freezing point around 32. So the ice will continue for you. And that's kind of the same deal as we had on, even further in time. Let's see. Let me go to Sunday morning, and I'll show you what temperatures look like on that deal. So yeah, there's central Missouri. So you still have the ice in your neck of the woods at that point in time. Same thing for Kansas and Nebraska. Looks like most of Kansas is still below freezing, with the exception maybe the far southeast or southern counties. At this point, most of Oklahoma is above freezing. We've got all that warm air advection coming in from the Gulf of Mexico, and all this warm air right here is going to continue to build in and move on through, and that will actually lead to some storms for Sunday, maybe even some severe weather in far southeast Oklahoma, northeast Texas, maybe even back down toward Dallas for Sunday as that storm system kicks out. So I might even get a couple of severe thunderstorms out of that, but just winter storm, it's crazy. Sometimes you can go from those ice or snow to storms all in 24 to 48 hours. That's just the way this stuff works. So that is it, and that was quite a weather discussion for you. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful. And I answered a lot of questions prematurely. I just went ahead and just said, hey, here's a look at the maps in more detail so that you can try to pick out where you live and get the best idea. Keep in mind the general range of freezing rain totals. There's going to be pockets that are heavier than others. You could only have maybe, say, a couple of tenths of an inch in your yard. You go 10 miles down the road and they've got half an inch of ice, or maybe they've got hardly anything at all. This is what I can foresee. The good news. This is what I see in the good news. The potential good news, I should say. As long as the precipitation stays very light tomorrow, and I mean light, we're talking less than a tenth of an inch where you're located, and we'll say Oklahoma City here specific. In the morning, it won't matter. Any moisture at all on the roadways, it's a glaze of ice. Now, give it a couple hours, the sun comes up, traffic's moving along. A lot of that will either evaporate off the roads because of the dryness of the air and or the heat and the solar radiation from the sun and from the ground, and that will help roads to improve. So that during the day Friday, with temperatures around 30 degrees, the roads may actually not be that bad. After we get through Friday morning, say from, like I said, 3 a.m. to about 9 a.m. After that, I think there should be several hours, potentially, again, if precipitation amounts are extremely light, of seeing some decent roadways for travel. Now, the bridges and overpasses, they will always still be ice covered. That goes without saying. We're talking about the ones anchored to the ground. Those have a chance to warm up and melt the ice that's on top of them and also help to evaporate it, especially if it's very, very light accumulation. Now, that would continue through about 6 o'clock Friday evening. Then the sun goes down, and you've got a situation where we're still getting some light freezing precipitation. Now temperatures back off the 30-degree point, back into the upper 20s, and you've got ice forming right all over again. So if you're going to be going anywhere on Friday, and you say, hey, roads out there aren't that bad, things are looking good, and you want to travel, go for it. Just be careful and watch out for slick spots. But keep in mind, if you're going to be traveling in the evening hours, all of those drier roads or just wet roads that you were on earlier will refreeze. What is the magic hour and minute for that? I cannot tell you. I can just tell you it's going to be sooner rather than later, and you're going to have to be very careful, and you're going to need to go slow. And I don't mean slow like instead of going 80, you go 60. I mean slow like you're going 30. So it's going to take you 3 times or 4 times as long to get anywhere that you want to go than what it would normally do. And again, that's stretching from Tulsa down to Oklahoma City, right along that I-44 corridor and down to Lawton, points north from there. So just keep that in mind throughout the day on Friday. That's the only good news I can find for you at this point in time. Other than that, everything still looks solid. Again, like I said, it's not going to be a huge ice storm for some of you. Some of you may think this is no big deal. Others of you may go, man, this is 2007 all over again. Well, you're going to have to get a lot of ice for that to happen, and that's going to be probably in northwest Oklahoma. But half an inch of ice that occurs here in Oklahoma City or Tulsa or very close is nothing to shake a stick at, because, or nothing to not cry about, because half an inch of ice is pretty good. That's going to cause some trees to break and snap off and hang down, and it's going to cause some power outages. Thankfully, again, the winds aren't that big of a factor. And I'll tell you what, we'll look at the winds here real quick. Just so you don't have to take my word for it. We can show you what they will be looking like. All right, we'll go to, let's see here. Let me see, this is what we want to show you. These are 5 knots. You know what, I think I may like this other view better. Let me go over here. Surface wind gust. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so we'll go surface wind gust, and this is during the day on Friday. So this is basically, looks like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So 2 o'clock in the afternoon, wind gust of 10 knots. There's 8 knots. Here in Oklahoma City, southeast of town, at this point in time for this data point was 15 knots. That's one of the higher gusts I've seen. North of Tulsa, that's 15 knots. So again, you're looking at a gust probably a little over 20 miles per hour when you transfer those numbers over from units, from knots to miles per hour. But for the most part, we're looking at fairly light winds. Again, these are gusts, model estimated wind gusts, not sustained winds. Sustained winds are 5 to 15 miles per hour during the majority of this event. We look at a model that goes a little farther in time than that, and further in time rather. Remember, farther is distance, further is time. I always mess that up. Okay, so let's see. We're looking at 6 o'clock on Friday. So there's 15 knots, 15 knots, 15, 10, 9, 10. Here in eastern Oklahoma, 9. Again, the heaviest wind is along that frontal boundary, so that's pretty much right along I-44. All right, we'll take another snapshot from there to, let's see, that was 6 o'clock tomorrow. All right, let's go to 6 a.m. Saturday. 12, 13, 11. Like I said, thankfully, that's one of the saving graces that we have for this particular storm. And that, hey, I'll take it. That's good news. 6 p.m. Saturday, same thing. 13, 10, 13, 13. So, all right. I hope that answers that wind question as well. Heather giving me props. Way to keep it grammatically correct. Thanks, Heather. I'm lucky to catch myself half the time. Anyway, when you get older, then this is what I do also. I'll combine 2 words into 1 word. Like my brain will put like 2 sentences with the words that would go for each, and then combine it. It comes out as a new thing in the dictionary. So that's pretty much it. I want to thank you guys for joining me here at AT's Weather. I had several thousand of you watching here for this evening broadcast. I know it was long-winded, but I want to get down and dirty into the details to show you what was expected and what's coming our way. And for those that can hang, appreciate it. I'm going to type up a summary like I always do, and then reshare the post so that those that didn't get a chance to watch it can. And a reminder, you can always go back and watch this and drag the little time bar wherever you want to try to pick up on certain things. Couple of quick questions, if there are any. Some Packer fans out there. Let's see. All right. Any questions? Going once, going twice. I do thank you for the compliments and for you guys watching. That does mean a lot. It means positive. Man, what was that thing we used to get as kids? Oh shoot. Oh, not Goonies. What am I thinking of? It's Oonies or something. Man, I can't remember. Too old. Let's see. All right, I think we're just gonna shut this down. Like I said, it was a long discussion. I'm gonna run out of air anyway. So go Cowboys, and I'm gonna probably chime in tomorrow at some point and post some maps or something, especially if the ice shuts the city down in the morning, and it means we all get an ice day. So that would be nice. I don't know if everybody's gonna get off that way, but some of you might. I think that a lot of the schools are already out. So I mean, some of your moms will be out as well just because of that. So we'll see. All right, well guys, stay warm, stay dry, stay safe. It's just another winter storm. We'll all make it through. It'll be gone before you know it, and then we'll be talking about the next one. That's just the way it is around here. All right, talk to you soon. Take care.